Calaroga Shark Media.
Hello again, I'm Johnny Mac with the normal episode for Wednesday, September 24th. Jimmy Kimmel returned to the airwaves last night, and I will do a bonus episode separating out the Kimmel stuff, some other stuff on the feed that I hope you checked out. Yesterday around noon, I dropped an episode with Mark Malkoff. He's the host of the Inside Late Night podcast, the host of the Carson podcast, and the author of the new book, Love, Johnny Carson. We had a great convo about Carson and all things late night. Later today at noon Eastern, Jason Zinoman from the New York Times and I had a very spirited discussion about, we started about the Riyadh Comedy Festival, which I may or may not be pronouncing incorrectly, as I learned. Who knows? We talked about whatever that festival is called. We also got quite into the Colbert and Kimmel of it all, and then some other comedy stuff on the end. So at noon today, really my favorite episode I've ever done with Jason Zinoman from the New York Times. And then later in the afternoon, I'll do the Kimmel bonus so that I can pull together all the clips and everybody's reaction, and then we'll take it from there. All right, here is the normal episode for Wednesday. You know who I'm feeling bad for? Are comedians you should and will know. That got buried. I mean, talk about comedy being timing. Oops. I mean, that got lost. I want to talk about those people, but I cannot find the time. Let's talk about Caleb Heron. Apparently, I like his interviews better than I liked his special. He was speaking with Autostraddle. Caleb said, I think our national conversation about so many things is lacking. And one thing that I think is really unfortunate is that conversations around queerness specifically really veered into this precious objects territory where we were incorrectly made out to be these sensitive, precious people. It's just not really reality. I know we're, and he qualifies queer and trans people and our allies, and people don't understand us yet, but will at some point. I hope we're moving towards a conversation that's less about policing and being sensitive and treating us different and special and holding us up and just going like, no, we actually just want you to treat us like your neighbors. We actually just want to be joked around with. We have the same wants and desires you have. We want to make a living wage and take care of our families and have a good time. And I think it's so unfortunate that conversation has drifted into this psychotic fear about trans people. Apparently one of his go-to quotes, I shared this one yesterday. This is a different interview, I think. But he said, my favorite straight guys out right now are conservative Republicans. I don't care. I love them. He pointed out the ridiculousness of men like Ben Shapiro, Jordan Peterson, Vice President J.D. Vance, and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, worrying about masculinity and scapegoating trans people while wearing little bow ties, and so much mascara just to be compelling, and having the vocal inflections of somebody seen do Cher at Hamburger Mary's Marioki. He was asked, who do you mean? He said, I'm not ceding home to anybody. I'm not scared of these MFers. I'm from this place just as much as anybody else is. And don't get to tell me we're something that we're not or that we don't belong where we're from, because we do. Model Comedian is now streaming on HBO Max. Andrew Santino had caught up with Variety. I was telling you about that before all this Kimmel stuff started. I like what Santino said here. A lot of us want to feel more free, so we're doing our own thing. A lot of people are making significantly more money doing their own thing than going down the traditional studio route. It took us a long time to realize these guys were robbing us. They were getting all the money, and we were working really hard, and they were giving us what we thought we deserved. We realized if we just made our own world, not beholden to someone else's idea over what we deserved, we can build our own audience and make our own future. I still love television and film. I hope to act again. I don't see it in my near future. I'm focusing on stand-up and podcasting and creating my own world in the digital space. A lot of people you don't see in TV and film anymore because not a lot of stuff is being made in the comedy circuit in terms of big commercial comedy films. Comedy television shows have kind of slid into the unknown. There's not a lot of opportunity unless you're one of Seth Rogen's friends, and they can get on one of his 50 TV shows. Outside of that, it's a little different. It's a little bit harder. A lot of comedians in particular were tired of playing this weird please love me game to the business. Instead, they were like, we'll just go right to our audience and try to connect with them. Did you watch Gianmarco Soresi's special yet on YouTube? It's fantastic. I do have to give the edge to Marin, who really brought it, but Gianmarco, in a different year, might be the #1 special of the year. Good chance it'll be the #2. The New York Post said, hey, you've been somewhat known for crowd work. Is that still a big part of your show? Gianmarco said, it's dependent on the layout of the space. If you're in a theater, the people in the back can't hear. Still, I was trying to incorporate it to a certain degree. It makes it exciting for me. I hate doing the same thing over and over. I can't guarantee how much crowd work will be there. I can guarantee you'll be at least getting 80% of the material. I often find you can do crowd work for 2 minutes, and if it's great, the audience will have gotten their fix. They got to feel they were part of something that only happened on this show, and that was risky. He got into the physicality of his act. He said, one time there was a New York Comedy Club booker who didn't pass me because they said I was too one-man show. I told my friends at the time, I can mumble, I can stand still. Honestly, I don't think I can. I'm able to deliver a lot. Even if I go to Europe and the audience members don't fully understand all the jokes, they appreciate how animated I am. Now that I have the stage and time, I'm able to fuse being a one-man show with someone who moves, with someone who uses the space with obsessive joke writing to deliver an elevated stand-up experience. Talked about his process. I record every single set and put it into a transcription app. It allows me to look at the text and pick up at any point. I have 3 different Word documents going. One is finished material that I look through, but usually that's all burnt. I keep it more as a library. The second is everything I'm working on right now, which I'm trying to consolidate. Then I have another that's 180 pages of stray thoughts that aren't going anywhere. It's ultimately this gargantuan mess that will never be sorted out until I'm forced to do the next hour. He told a story about auditioning for Orange is the New Black. The role I auditioned for was the lead singer of an all-white Roots cover band, just 2 lines. I did a lot of research, and the audition went really well. On the way out, my manager at the time called and said, bad news, they canceled the audition. They found an actual all-white Roots cover band, so they don't need the role anymore. Cristella Alonzo with the LA Times recently did a series called Room Temperature, as in no ice shows to raise money for detained immigrants. At those shows, she handed out Know Your Rights cards. She explains, my price point was $30 a ticket. You don't think $30 is a lot of money, but when you group it with all these other people, we came up with tens of thousands of dollars for a nonprofit. What's up next for her? She's working on a tour, which means I have to write. But you know, it's funny. I had a TV show. It was only 1 season, 22 episodes. It was canceled 10 years ago, and there's not a day that goes by that people don't ask me about it. People always ask me if I do another TV show, and the truth is I never wanted to, because when I had it, I was the first Latina to do it ever. And the problem that happens when you're that is that people don't know how to deal with you. You basically have to pitch your culture and ask them for acceptance. But now I'm at the point where, having done Upper Classy and talking about where I am and really taking stock of where I am mentally and my approach to life, I think I'm actually ready to do another show that's based on the themes that I talk about in Upper Classy. I was talking to a network recently, and I was like, look, I don't want to do a show about a single woman trying to navigate her dating life. Been there, done that. What if you actually explore somebody that's really, really happy where they're at? What about a show with siblings? What about a show with something a little different? I wonder if that pitch worked. The Times of India is your home for comedy news. They reviewed Kevin Hart's show and Mumbai. They tell us Kevin Hart's show included reflections on life, societal norms, and personal growth. After India, Kevin was on his way to Australia to play Perth, Melbourne, and Sydney. And of course, if you want to see Kevin Hart, you will find him at the Riyadh Comedy Festival in Saudi Arabia. Look at Johnny Mac learning from mistakes. He actually put the Toronto Comedy Festival in the notes today. Did he bookmark the website? No. Look, you can't have everything. And he's going to make you listen while he babbles, while with one hand he types Toronto Comedy Festival. Yes, he is. And why doesn't he make that edit? Because that's not fun. Tonight in Toronto, Ashwin Singh, 7 o'clock. Sabrina Wu, 7 o'clock. Did I say Montreal or did I say Toronto? I don't even remember. This is Toronto. Matthew Broussard at 9:30. The Monster Island Character Showcase at 9:30. And a Hidden Gem Show and Midnight Madness. It's the middle of the week. It will pick up on the weekend. You need something to do? Well, go on the 800-Pound Gorilla site. They've got Louis Gornham's Choosing the Wrong Story to Tell. That's out today. Now, apparently the Manila Times has a comedy section. They made my Rovers, and we learned that Bark Mehta, who's, as you know, the co-founder of Doginal Dogs, crypto, connected with comedian Shane Gillis to explore the intersection of digital communities, culture, and comedy. That's right, Christian Barkmeta Barker recently met with Shane Gillis at a private session in Austin. I can tell how excited Shane Gillis is about this because there was a picture of Shane with the guy. The guy also has pictures with some other famous people. Now, Shane didn't provide any quotes, so, you know, he's clearly really into this. This isn't just some crypto bro ran into Shane Gillis and got a selfie and is really good at getting newspapers to write about you in the Philippines. Bark Mehta said, comedy thrives on connection and community. Crypto is building those same connections in new digital spaces. Meeting with Shane shows how these worlds are coming together. Chris Fleming caught up with thestranger.com. Chris is fantastic and says, in my twilight years, I have no interest in winning a crowd over. Chris is not that old. How old is Chris Fleming? Chris, you're 38 years old. You could be 56 recording a podcast in your basement. You're still young and have so much future in front of you. You can tell I'm doing extra silly stories today because everything has been so serious. If you want serious, listen to the bonus episodes. I just need to have some fun. Chris Fleming. tells thestranger.com. In my twilight years of 36 or whatever I just said 2 seconds ago, I have no interest in winning a crowd over. At this particular show, before I even grabbed the mic, someone yelled, "Let's go, Weird Al!" See, Chris has curly hair like a younger Weird Al. And I was like, you know what? F this. I'm going to do 2 songs that you're going to hate so I don't have to hear you. We're going to make the music so loud, I'm just going to kind of stare at the lights so I don't have to engage. That's fantastic. Chris has a Dane Cook bit, and has Dane ever heard it? Yes, and he thinks it's funny, and I'm so relieved because Dane Cook, a lot of people say a lot of stuff about Dane Cook. Dane Cook was like a theater artist when he was starting out. He brought a theatricality to the stage that hadn't been done before. I'm not sure I got that word right. You know what I'm saying. I have the utmost respect for his stage work. Yeah, and we see that kind of physicality in Gianmarco Soresi. And Gianmarco might be throwing his phone against the wall now that I compared him to Dane Cook. I don't know. And JC Penney is doing some comedy with Shaquille O'Neal. By the way, Shaq and Kevin Hart in those commercials, can you just stop? Those make me want to throw my phone against the wall. The Kevin Hart commercials are just, they're all annoying. And I like Kevin Hart, but it's just stop. There's a bunch of commercials in which Shaquille O'Neal plays the role of a talk show host, queuing up a featured comic whose routine will reveal this week's really big deal. Up-and-coming comedians Catherine Blanford and former JCP associate turned comedian Von Daniel are part of a lineup of talent delivering, quote, sharp observational takes on real-world shopping and everyday essentials. Oh, these ads are running every day through Christmas Day and will be on Thursday Night Football. Speaking of football, boy, Johnny Mac had a good week. I finished like either second or third, but the most important part is I passed in the football pool that guy Scott Beckett. It's not always about the money. It's about making sure you beat Scott Beckett. And this was a good week for Johnny Mac in the football pool. Niners squeak one out. Yikes, guys, come on, man. 3-0, but you barely beat the Seahawks, the Cardinals, and the Saints. Not exactly murderer's row. Carl Bird is the SVP creative director for JC Penney, who said, "We started dipping our toe in the idea of comedy. We did Kimmel in the spring, and we love Guillermo and realized there's something here." And that is your comedy news on a Wednesday again. Keep checking the feed. You never know when a bonus episode shows up. There might be one there right now. Download it. Take a listen. Share it with your friends. Social media. Help the show grow. See you later. Bonus episode. Yeah. See you later. Then see you tomorrow. Catchphrase.